Well, joining me now from Rosh Ayin in central Israel is Reserve Brigadier General Yosef Kuperwasser, the former Director General of Israel's Ministry of Strategic Affairs and the former head of the Research Division for IDF Military Intelligence. Good morning to you, and thank you so much for joining me here this morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Now, the roads in northern Israel seem to still be closed as Israel-Hezbollah clashes intensify. Is Israel progressing with Hezbollah, or is the terror group's retreat, or at least threat, at least temporary?
No, I think that not much has changed on the northern front yet. We cannot count it by the day and look at the changes just because one day there was less fire from the north. It's still an ongoing escalation, ongoing tension. There's a war being fought over there, and both sides are interested in making sure that it doesn't explode into and turn into a wide-scale war. But in this context, they carry out all kinds of activities that do have the potential of bringing an escalation, a further escalation, and it's very unstable, the situation in the north as it looks right now.
Now, a lot of these communities have been largely evacuated, similar to the south in the sense of hundreds of thousands of Israelis being moved toward the center of the country. If that is the case, what is the purpose of Hezbollah shooting over a lot of these drones and projectiles, knowing that it's not hitting civilian populated areas?
Well, these are the targets they have. They shoot at what they consider to be legitimate targets on their side, including civilian locations, when on the other side there are civilians hit and what they claim to be civilian targets attempted to be hit by the Israeli defense forces. That's why they shoot at civilian locations. They know that there are no civilians over there at this point of time. They realize that, but these are the targets available. Israel is trying to make sure that we don't provide Hezbollah with better targets, and the military in this location is very well protected.
Military analysts have spoken in the last couple of weeks, or I should now say months, of the ground offensive in Gaza, saying that the IDF wants to do what it can in the Gaza Strip in terms of dismantling Hamas and its terror infrastructure before dealing with the north. Because in the words of the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and others, what was will not be, in the sense that there will not be another war with Hamas because it will be completely eliminated. But what if Hezbollah beats them to the punch and launches more of a full-scale war as opposed to just skirmishes along the border? Is the IDF prepared?
Yes, the IDF is maintaining preparedness for such an eventuality all the time. We have to remember that we use very little of our Air Force in the Gaza Strip, and most of the Air Force is kept for the eventuality of a breakout in the north. And of course, we can also switch some of the ground forces to the north if necessary. Right now, we prefer to focus on the south. That's where we were attacked from with this 7th of October barbaric attack. And we have to make sure that we take care of Hamas and finish the job over there. And this is going to take quite a while. You just have shown that we are moving now to the areas that we have not yet dealt with in the Gaza Strip, mainly the so-called refugee camps in the center of Gaza Strip, the Brig and the Nuseirat and Moazi. And we have to finish that before we focus on the north. We also have to see what is going to be done about Rafah, and that's another center that we have to deal with before we move to the north. And once we move to the north, we believe that based on the achievements we are going to have in Gaza, we are going to be able to convince Hezbollah to move farther north from the Litani River and make sure that the citizens, the civilians in the north are not in harm's way when they move back into the villages. And if this is going to be the case, then by winning the war in Gaza, we should also create a better condition in the north. If not, we are going to have enough forces in order to deal with Hezbollah in the north militarily.
Now, over the border from Lebanon to Syria, obviously, as per IDF policy, it will not comment on specific strikes within Syrian territory. But according to Syrian media, there were alleged strikes in Damascus that took out Brigadier General Razi Mousavi, a top IRGC commander. Iran threatening Israel directly, although at the moment it's using its proxies, including that of Hamas, which has close ties and affiliates to the Iranian regime. How serious should Israel be taking the threats from Hamas, and exactly who was Brigadier General Razi Mousavi that he needed to be eliminated?
Well, according to the news, Brigadier General Mousavi was responsible for supplying Hezbollah with Iranian arms. And he's in charge of an effort that has been going on for a long time, many years, in which, on the one hand, Iran was sending arms, advanced arms, to Hezbollah, and Israel was trying to hit them on the road to Lebanon while they were crossing in Syria. So he's probably in charge of this operation for many years, and was, according to the news, eliminated simply because of that. But we have to remember that we are at the time when the Iranian involvement in orchestrating this entire effort to hit Israel and Israeli interests is at its peak. We see the Houthis on the south. We see the attack on a ship that allegedly was somehow connected to Israel near India. These are things that happened with direct Iranian involvement. We have witnesses that speak about involvement of the Iranians in directing the Houthis attacks in Yemen, from Yemen, and we have information that connects the Iranians directly to the attack on the ship next to near India. So as the Iranians raise their level of involvement, of direct involvement in the proxy war against Israel, then some of the results can be with hitting the Iranian targets in Syria.
Reserve Brigadier General, stay with us because I do want to get your analysis on another topic. Palestinian media has also reported heavy clashes with Israeli forces in the West Bank overnight. The areas targeted were Nablus, Jericho, Ramallah and Bethlehem. The latest escalation follows an IDF arrest raid yesterday morning, being Monday, in the Jenin refugee camp in the northern part of the West Bank. Now, the West Bank has seen surging violence and arrests in parallel to Israel's war on Hamas in the Gaza Strip. The Israeli military is saying that it is dismantling Hamas terrorists and affiliates in the West Bank as well. Recent polls show that most Palestinians in the region support Hamas's October 7th attack on Israel, despite the death in Gaza, and do not believe that the group committed atrocities. In fact, support for Hamas today in the West Bank stands at 44%, compared to 12% just 3 months ago. Still with me from Rosh Hashanah in central Israel's Reserve Brigadier General Yosef Kuperwasser. Yosef, these figures are astonishing. I mean, that rise going from 12% to 44% in the West Bank. At the moment, we're talking about the fight on the southern and the northern flanks of the country. But the West Bank, the east of the country, has the potential to blow up and be pretty explosive in itself.
Yes, definitely. It's amazing to see how wide is the support for Hamas inside the areas controlled by the Palestinian Authority. The Palestinian Authority is so corrupt and so weak that it doesn't get any support from its own constituency. And that's a very disturbing situation. Hamas is gaining popularity because of what they did on the 7th of October. This is the lesson learned, that if you carry out horrific terror attacks against Israel, you are becoming more popular in the Palestinian street. That's what we're seeing, and that brings back the potential of explosion in the West Bank as well. Israel is aware of this, and this is why we are carrying out so many arrests throughout the West Bank, day in, day out, or actually night in, night out. And that's what's happening. We have arrested already about 2,500 terror activists. Out of them, about 1,200 Hamas terrorists in the last 2.5 months. And that tells you how widespread is the support of and is the presence of terrorists inside the areas controlled by the Palestinian Authority. And I think that brings us back to what Prime Minister Netanyahu repeatedly says that we cannot afford bringing the Palestinian Authority to the Gaza Strip after we finish the war in Gaza, because the Palestinian Authority, first of all, is so weak and corrupt, and secondly, it is actually supporting the terror activities of Hamas, and raises children, pupils in its territories, to hate Israelis, to hate Jews, and to carry out terror attacks against them. So, and the results we have seen in the attacks on October 7th. So it's a very dangerous situation. I hope that with our ongoing activities to arrest those terrorists, we can prevent the outbreak of another terror wave from the West Bank, but it's going to take an ongoing effort in the future as well.
Reserve Brigadier General Yosef Kuperwasser, the former Director General of Israel's Ministry of Strategic Affairs and the former head of the Research Division for IDF Military Intelligence. Thank you so very much for both your time and your analysis here this morning.
Thank you.